Okay, so I'm entitling this Murphy's Muskets Watch slash the Riddle of Steel. He and I have had an ongoing conversation about what the Riddle of Steel actually is. My answer has changed, and it's not his answer. Let's go back over our answers. My answer of what the Riddle of Steel was basically that it's the duality. Is that you have to be both. You can't be strong. You can't be weak. You can't be whatever. You have to be a little bit of everything, like steel. In order to have steel actually work, it can't just be hard as glass. And it can't be soft. Somewhere in the middle is where it should be. Determining that for yourself in your own life, that's kind of the Riddle of Steel. That's kind of my old answer. I still stand by that to some extent. His answer was that of Thulsa Doom. Thulsa Doom in Conan says that the Riddle of Steel is that the flesh is stronger. What value is the sword compared to the hand that wields it? And I do see this point of view. But it is also wrong. The answer to the Riddle of Steel is in The Wind and the Lion. Go watch The Wind and the Lion by John Milius. Please, dear sweet Jesus Murphy's Muskets. Give me your address and I will buy a copy of it and mail it to you. I want to have a discussion with you about the religion of that movie. Because, the thing that I see as the Riddle of Steel now is that flesh doesn't matter. The steel doesn't matter. The steel is merely the decider of things. The Riddle of Steel is who's really making the decisions. It's God. God is the Riddle of Steel, in my opinion. That's, I think this message, what I'm giving here, where it's what he said, what I originally thought, and now the Baraka riding with you as God's hand moving your sword, there's some of that in there too. The missing element from this conversation was the effect of God on the battlefield. And I see the Riddle of Steel differently. If the flesh is stronger than the steel, then what about the spirit? The spirit is way stronger than the flesh. Trust me. As someone whose spirit is way stronger than their flesh, it can be, at least. Focusing on the flesh is part of the failing of the world. And to interpret the Riddle of Steel to mean that it's flesh that you should worry about, I think is very wrong. Don't get me wrong, I get what he's saying in that you are the weapon, and I like that shit. But at the same time, whether you are a weapon or not, and whether you have a sword or not, doesn't matter for dick if fucking God says you're gonna die today. The Riddle of Steel is that it does not matter. And I guess that's really what Murphy's Musket's conclusion is too, with the flesh is stronger, but I'm saying something completely different in reality. And I think he would agree with it, that basically, yes, the flesh is stronger than the steel, but there's something stronger than the flesh, too. And some of that is captured in that piece of steel. When I forge it to shape and make it, I put some of myself into what I make. This is why my blades are better than most. I don't just fucking draw something out and try to make it. I forge a piece of steel and I make it what it wants to be. I have some input on it, but it's a creative process. And good things come from creativity. In my opinion, you get closer to God when you truly make a good thing. Now, if you destroy a bunch of shit to make a shitty thing, that's not God. And like, this is some of the thing, like Tolkien had a thing against artists and creatives, I guess, because like Sauron is me, basically. He likes making stuff. And eventually when you see, things getting shitty enough, you keep making more and more stuff, and then you recruit a bunch of dudes, and you take over the planet. And you build a giant tower, a big eye on it. It's a whole thing. It's where we're headed. I'm going to do that. Someday, big black tower, downtown Tulsa, large eye. Watch for it. The Riddle of Steel. I started talking about this because I was watching the Riddle of Steel clip from Brush and Sword that's on YouTube. 38,000 views. Just search Riddle of Steel, Brush and Sword. It's a clip from Conan. It is the best clip from Conan. It is one that I have posted on social media before myself. And he even edited it together a little bit with some other shit that comes later in the movie that, like, it's very, this is the thing that we should discuss. We should be discussing what the Riddle of Steel is, not all this other unimportant bullshit that we discuss all the time about, like, politics and war and whatever. In reality, great men make the world. And this is sort of the Riddle of Steel, is great men have the baraka with them and know how to use steel, in my opinion. Whether that's sword, pistol, rifle, whatever. I kind of think it's hilarious that most people don't consider me to be a threat. Unless you're a fucking bear independent, apparently. Then I'm scary as fuck. Which, to be honest, I think those people should be scared. Like, they're going to hell. My conclusion on Bear Independent is pretty much that he said he was a Satanist. As someone who's known many Satanists, they learn to manipulate and do certain things. He is taking what he learned in Satanism and applying it to the Torah. And this is an abomination against God. I feel that way, and it weighs heavily on my heart. And this has nothing really to do with you, Murphy's Muskets. But that's what I see when I see that shit. And it's hard for me to go and see God being misused that badly and not want to, like, make my own church or some shit, man. Like, this is the shit that we would preach. Is, okay, first and foremost, you should be a good person. And you shouldn't be a good person because a book tells you so. This is a main failing with a lot of Christians. Everyone there, every single person I met at the fucking Bear Independent gathering is a lost soul. And they're being gathered up by a ill-gotten shepherd, in my opinion. People look at me and they see me wearing black and wearing a red belt and driving a fucking beater car spray painted and carrying a gun and talking like a fucking pirate, because I am one. And they assume that I am not good with God. Those people all assumed that I was not good with God. In reality, God and I are fine. They and God are fucked beyond all recognition. I don't hide who I am. I am who I am. I try to be better, and I ask God's forgiveness. All of this hiding who you really are to fucking fit into Bear Independent's mold of what he thinks his community is going to be, like, that's crazy, man. I really wanted to just go down and see what was going on there because it felt like a cool vibe, and I didn't know which way it was. Like, I really was hoping to go down there and find people that thought like me, that would accept me for me and accept that I'm trying to love God. I think I revealed them I revealed them for what they actually are. They're demons. They are demons, and they are perverting the Lord's work just to fucking get money. They're Pharisees and Sadducees. If you don't know what that is, when Jesus was a young boy, and even older man, I guess he was an older man when he did what I'm about to say, he went into the temple and saw the Pharisees and the Sadducees, which were the old wise men of the temple, setting up tables to sell things in the temple. He kicked over the tables and started a fight, basically. Told him to get him out of his father's house. I'm kind of, Bear Independent. You should get out of my father's house. You should get out of all of our father's house. Reveal yourself for what you actually are, you fucking Satanist. It's what you still are. You can't build a church using what you learned in Satanism and have it be a good thing just because you keep Torah. You just can't. Sorry, that's not a thing. God doesn't care about what you eat as much as who you are and what you do. Did you not listen to Jesus ever? This is my contention. Is I like the Old Testament, and I read about Abraham a lot. And I try to model my life after Abraham. And this is why I figured I might be able to talk to this person. And this is why my goal is to have sheep and shit. We have very similar everything, man. And I'm not welcome there. Mainly because I hurt their image. I think they're trying to present a very ultra conservative whatever, and the fact that they would have a fucking trans woman that was even willing to show up and hang out with them, honestly, I thought I was doing him a favor. I was giving him somebody to point to that, this person came and volunteered for us. We're not Nazis. That's why I came there. I thought what they were doing was a good thing. Then I get there and find out that basically that tornado didn't hit Idabel at all. It hit some trees out in the pasture land and shit, and some of those fell on houses, and those people really need help. Roger that. But at the same time, you're making it sound like the entire city of Idabel was destroyed because you're trying to use it to raise money. And this is a sin against God. God will judge you, Bear Independent. Tell me what you think, Murphy's Muskets. Am I totally fucking wrong on this? Like, this is the other thing. I'm just going to title this Murphy's Muskets. Because I trust your opinion, man. I trust your opinion because, like, there's very few people that I've talked to about religion as much as you. And you and I are basically almost in the same church. I know that's weird to think, but, like, I seriously have never felt anyone that was exploring the things that I was exploring in the ways that I was exploring them and was willing to have a discussion on it and had different thoughts than me. Like, this is the thing that I really enjoyed a couple times that we spoke on the internet, man. Like, there's something going on, and there needs to be a church, and it needs to not be run by an ex-Satanist. That's my thoughts. I've been talking to Nuttin Fancy a lot lately. So much so that he told me to give him my phone number, and I'm kind of waiting on a call for that. And, like, the thing that I'm going to talk to him about is Mormonism. Curious to talk to him about that. I'm not excited about becoming a Mormon or any of that, but I'm going to talk to him like this because I know that I can. And that's one of the things that, like, what does it say that Nuttin Fancy, Murphy's Muskets, and I, our religions might be slightly different, but if the three of us sat down, we would realize we worship the same God. And minor quibbles aside, misusing the Lord to fucking make money is one of the greatest fucking sins I can imagine. I weep for Bear Independent's soul. You know, you want to talk about a riddle, about the riddle of the cranberry. Cranberries all look good until you float them. Then the bad ones sink and the good ones rise. So, basically, when the flood comes, or when the day of death and judgment comes, would you rather be one of the cranberries that sinks or one of the cranberries that floats? Now, knowing that, what causes you to be out of grace with God? Well, making money off of his name to promote your own weirdness, that's chief amongst them in my mind. There's other things, like there's various things that you could do, and all of them can be forgiven. Like, this is the thing, that's the great thing about God and Jesus. Like, God forgives. Jesus saves. Crom asks you if you want to live forever. It's the nature of those gods. And just to be brutally honest, I think Crom's real name is Yahweh. One of my favorite things ever is that the original meaning of the word Yahweh, there's various meanings, right? But like the oldest Hebrew version of it literally means this. The deep inhale, deep exhale. Yahweh. And that means that God is literally that which gives me breath. I think that's nice. Oh. It kills me to hear a fucking Satanist use the name Yahweh all the time now. In my opinion, he is still a fucking soldier in the army of Satan. Like, I'm sure he thinks that of me too. You know, those people don't like me because I wear my sin on my shoulder, so to speak. I'm just me. I've always just been me. And the trans thing, I felt called to do this for fucking 20 years. More than that. Finally gave into it. When I did, I met my girlfriend Dakota downtown at night dying, and the only way she would have trusted me is if I was a trans woman. So, who are you to judge God's plans? Who are you to judge what he says my path is? I think this is really the thing in a nutshell, is that judge not, lest ye be judged. You're getting judged. Most people don't get that I am an old school like judge from the fucking Bible, sent here for the end times. I'm judging you all, one at a time, and Murphy's Muskets, a place in Valhalla, is assured. Bear Independent, not so much. That dude's probably going to hell. And it has nothing to do with whether he keeps kosher or not, or whether he helps people or not. God cares about the why. God cares about a great many things. See you guys later.